Eliminate the workplace excuse. That's what leaders do. This is the Career Blind Spot Podcast.
Juan, Courtney blind spot question. How do you change someone's attitude?
Well, check yourself. No, I'm going to refer to two different books, but basically, let's ruin the ending here. You need to realize there's maybe not limitations, but there's steps that you really can't skip. And so someone who has improved their attitude, you might still be like, why haven't they done this? But progress is progress. And additionally, you got to realize where you're coming from. So there's two books I'm going to reference, put them in the show notes. Tribal Leadership, which you'll get the point. I highly recommend the read if you're a leader or you're just trying to understand this concept about attitudes in the workplace and changing them. And then a book called Tattoos on the Heart, which I know you've heard me talk about, but I don't think you've read it for yourself, right? Okay. So that one I highly recommend, just for humanity and being a good person. It's about this Jesuit priest in East LA who, on pages, you'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll cry. He basically is helping reformed, like hardcore MS-13 gang members take back their lives. It's very sad. It's very heartwarming. It's all these things. But in Tribal Leadership, which I'll jump back and forth, they talk about 5 different sayings or attitudes someone might wear to work. You've heard me talk about this before. Do you remember any of them?
No.
Okay, so let's start at the bottom. It's life sucks. If someone's attitude came in, it's basically nihilistic. Like, there's no good in the world, nihilism, I hate everything, and that's kind of the worst you can be, short of mental illness or something. Next step up, a t-shirt that would say, my life sucks, which doesn't sound that different, but it's hugely different, because now you're just saying, my circumstances are terrible, which also implies other people have it better, which again, not great, but an improvement.
Right.
Third, I'm great.
They
you suck.
Oh, you.
Or they, yeah.
Okay.
But probably more you, I think it's more of a personal. And that's someone, and I think this is most of corporate America or Western culture, is I'm good at this, how come these people don't work harder, bootstraps, whatever it is. And that's not a political statement, because we all judge each other. I'm a good person, I work at a nonprofit, or I'm a great person, I work hard and do sales, and these other people do not. And again, not bad, definitely better than my life sucks. Then there's we're great,
we are.
They suck. Think of like teams, your camaraderie, and that's not terrible either. Clearly, we can see it's better than I'm great, you suck. But now we're a part of a community, a village, if you will. And then lastly is everything's great, or we're all great. And it's kind of nirvana,
skipping
zen,
through a field, holding hands.
And that's where you are all the time, right?
Kumbaya. Yes, baby.
That was the most disingenuous
100%.
So what I realize is, so in this book, they're like, look, you might be at one, but someone else's attitude, especially if they're low at the bottom, it's hard for them to move up. So just real quick, you've heard this a couple times, but what's your reaction there of the t-shirts and the attitudes?
I mean, it makes sense. I feel like I've gone through all of them, like just repeated over and over and over. When will I get off the roller coaster of going through them?
I don't know. I would like to know. Using me, and we'll then put the other book in there. I remember, especially, I've been at this solo career of being a coach for 15 years, plus the time I was working at the company full time. And so I felt like we're great, they suck, or everything's great a lot. And Courtney would be...
What?
I was asking you to say what your attitude was. This is in the first couple of years of my business.
Everything's great, you're great, and my job sucks.
So I would feel like you would say my life sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of you. I never thought that you suck.
Not a fixed statement, but a lot. But that's still your life sucks. It's not we're great, they suck.
That's true.
Because I know you know what that feels like. We've been there before. We are there.
We're there right now.
I think we're right now. And you can feel the vibe of like when you feel like, it's us versus them versus it's just me versus everyone, or no one cares about me. And when Courtney would be like, my life sucks, or even everything, everything sucks. it would be frustrating because here I am being like, we're great, they suck, or everything's great.
We're not on the same page.
You can't force it. And even though I'm coming from it from this positive, it's like almost part of the problem. It's like saying, I can lift 1,000 pounds, how come you're stuck at 100? And so going back to the original question is how do you get to people to change their attitude is realize where they're at, realize what their attitude is. Don't make a character judgment. Realize that their attitude is their attitude, and there's a lot of things that go into that. But rather than try to hit a home run and get them to where you're at, just try to move them one level. If someone's coming in and just like everything sucks and they don't try, but now they go like, oh man, like my life sucks, and you know those people work hard. That's actually an improvement. Now, if you're anything like me, you're like, okay, now we got momentum, let's keep going. But do not undermine that is progress. Why are you laughing?
I feel like that's progress that you realize that now.
Well, and then that's the last part of this is I think a lot of people, especially those of us who want other people to change their attitude, we peak out at I'm great, you suck. You suck for having a bad attitude. I've called you shitty recently, but the way I spell it is S-H-I-D-D-I because I don't want to say mean words. But
you're still saying the word. We're talking about spelling it.
I've told you multiple times in recent memory that you've had a shitty attitude.
I have.
And is that me being mean?
No, it's helpful for me whenever you're honest like that and a little bit blunt because I don't like when you ask me questions. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I feel like you're attacking me, even though that's not your intention, and I totally get that. But anytime someone asks me a question about something that I'm doing, I'm like, why? What have you heard? What's broken?
Why the hell did you want to join this podcast where we start off with the question every episode? So that's a different episode. That's a different podcast.
That's a good one.
But it's...
But then I shut down, and that's me having a S-H-I-D-D-Y attitude.
And it's not my recommendation. I don't want to call anyone shitty, let alone my wife. But with things that had happened, it was more of like, why... You just had your favorite meal. Why are you saying, to quote our son, ugh, yucky, when I know it doesn't taste yucky to you? Now, if it does and your taste buds have changed, let's do something different. But my point being, or this point of this, is like, here I am at a higher, not higher, but a more positive attitude. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, and we won't go into that for this episode, Courtney doing these amazing things, the imposter syndrome sets in, the doubt, the insecurity. Mm-hmm. So I got to realize that she's at, maybe not, probably my life sucks, as opposed to everything sucks, when I called you shitty last time.
Maybe.
And so as much as I want her to be like ecstatic and all this other things, it's like, how can I help her move one level? But going back to, it's like, you need to check your own attitude. If I'm like, I'm great, you suck, your attitude, you're not grateful, which I've said those words to some degree, that's not really helping. And as much as it might be factual, it's not actually going to move the needle. But calling you or your behavior shitty, you were admitting it did help.
It did, but I think that people should also understand that I need you to be very blunt and like bold with what the things that you say. Otherwise, I just kind of ignore them. Like, hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you? I'm fine. And you're like, hey, you're being really shitty. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I don't want to turn. Well, no, I do want to turn this into a different conversation, but it's not. What's the Carroll? I said the Pete Carroll Seahawks coach of Justin Foster. Pete Carroll Seahawks coach. You got to know who to kick in the ass and who to pat on the ass. And you didn't really love that, but I get it. As some people want to be yelled at, other people need more. But I also think it depends on where you're at.
That's true.
With the attitude.
That's very
and
true.
when you get really low, I realize, if I say nice compliments to you, you don't hear them. Hell, someone celebrated with you. My mom, I'll just say that. And then other people were more, not the...
They don't understand
that you valued, or I should say gave more attention than the positive. And so, going back to the original question of this episode, how you change someone's attitude is like, you need to acknowledge their attitude first, acknowledge where you're coming from, and it's kind of like a board game of, they can only go so many spaces. You can only move so many spaces. So I'm like trying to yank you over. I want you to be ecstatic. No, I just want you to do something right now.
Are you saying that you're playing a game of battle shitty?
Wah, wah.
Oh, if you would have made that
you
joke.
You had me like, is she actually gonna make a good joke? But there's something in there.
Okay.
I'll give you another one next time. But the point being that, you know, we all have bad attitudes or less than grateful. And to me, that's the other side. It's you're either grateful for your circumstances, good and bad, especially the bad, but also the good. You're just, you know, you don't control most things, you know, it's kind of Zen spiritual. But when you're negative, you're not grateful. You're just, I want this, I want more.
You're focused on everything you don't have.
Not my sentence or not my phrase, but like practice or remembering when you wanted everything you have now, and then realize you have it. And when you have that, my life sucks or everything sucks or whatever, we don't do that at all. But even the I'm great, you suck, you can work with people there. There's a reason why, you know, someone who goes to their job and works hard, they're at least taking some accountability, but you listening and watching, and me as well, as I watch myself in the reflection. Why don't they just do my blind spots? We default to these things. So our shirts, it's not a permanent shirt or attitude that we're having. We're fluctuating depending on
your feelings.
Sure, I guess.
I go to therapy.
That's not appropriate, but yeah, the call to action. Well, let me ask you. Now that you have this in context, what is something you think you will do anytime you want to change someone's attitude, or maybe you're less than happy with someone's attitude about something?
You know, speaking of therapy, I really like whenever I'm saying something negative and I'm beating myself up, and my therapist is like, is that really true? Like, tell me why that's true. Tell me why you feel that way. And just kind of taking a step back and thinking, how would I explain it to somebody else, makes me realize, oh, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, that's something actually interesting, because I don't think therapy is for everyone, but I do for everyone. What we need is a space to be vulnerable where we can be ourselves and admit things when we're. And therapy is kind of like that's what it's designed for. But I think in a different world, you know, our friends, our tribes, our groups, you know, can do a version of that. But until then, that's what therapy's for. I think the person who goes to therapy is, my life sucks. The person who says everything sucks doesn't make the effort. And it's hard enough to sign up for therapy. And this is not necessarily a push, but it's an idea of, my life sucks, but I don't think it has to, but I don't know what to do about it. And so I'm willing to go, and I think a big part of therapy is getting your anger and your sadness out, and it's a lot of, I'm great, they suck. And then you start to realize, like you said,
maybe that's how yours goes. Mine is just like, I suck constantly.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Do you never feel better about your decisions or your future because of therapy?
At the end of it, yeah, but I'm not going in there talking about,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm great,
but
and
I'm saying
sucks.
The act of therapy, not always, because you even admitted you'd go and kind of just go through the motions, but is someone saying, my life sucks. It's you acknowledging your t-shirt, maybe not just with work, but then going, which is painful and it's uncomfortable, at least if you're doing the real stuff. You're now in, I'm great, they suck. Maybe not I'm great. I'm justified, they're in the wrong. Some version, some dichotomy there. But when you feel better, it's, hey, we are great and we can deal with this thing, or everything's great. But maybe I think this is also why people don't go to therapy or don't continue or drop off, is they think they're tapped out, that you can't go any further than, I'm great, everyone else sucks. And I don't think that's true, but it's up to you to find out for yourself. I'll see you for the next one.
I make this show for leaders, those who don't point fingers, but point towards ways they can do better at work. My ask for listening is you share the show on social and/or with other leaders, established or aspiring. Until then, no talent, no culture, no excuses.